Dear students, starting by the name of Allah, who is the most merciful and compassionate. No God deserves worship except Allah and Muhammad. Concentrate on my words, on my sentences, and try to catch each and every point which I teach you. Well, there are so many topics in English grammar. There is no need to tell you this point because yesterday, in my previous lecture, I taught about active and passive voice. The lecture before previous lecture, I taught about the tenses and also subject and verb agreement. And inshallah today, I will also try to explain this topic with proper rules and regulation, proper examples, and with logical reasons. The name of topic for today is direct and indirect speech. In simple words, we can call it narrations of speaking. So let's begin. First of all, we have to understand the meaning of speech. What is speech? Like yesterday, in my previous topic, I defined the word voice. Like voice is sometimes has different meaning when you check it in dictionary, and when you check it in grammar, it has got different functions. Similarly, the word speech also has two standards. When you want to check the meaning of speech in dictionary, it means a conversational dialogue between one person or group of between two persons or group of people, or when one person is addressing a group of people, that is called speech. If I translate it in Urdu, I can call it takrir. So what usually happens in takrir or in speech, one person addresses the people who are standing or sitting in front of that person in a shape of word audience. But when we see the word speech in dictionary, in grammar, so it does not mean that which I have recently told you, that takrir or addressing the people through your words, through your sentences, through your ideas. It doesn't mean that. According to grammar, speech is a term of grammar. It is in fact one of the important topics of grammar, which has a very important and very indispensable importance in communication. As you all know that whenever we want to have communication, communication has got different stages. During conversation or during communication, we definitely talk about the past of someone or something. We talk about the present of someone or something, and we also talk about the future of someone or something. As it is clear like crystal to all of you that when we talk about the past, we are allowed to use only past tenses when we discuss the past. When we want to talk about the future, we are allowed to use future tenses when we want to discuss the future of someone or something. So we do have rules which we have to follow in our communication. Beside this, I have also explained this point that whenever we want to make a sentence is the combination of two important parts in which we have subject and we have predicate. Subject is that part of sentence whom or what we talk about. Subject is the highlight or head topic of the sentence. Whenever you want to talk about a person, you want to talk about the place, or you want to talk about a thing, that person, place, or thing becomes the subject of that sentence. That becomes the target of that sentence. If you do not have subject in your sentence, the listeners will not understand whom or what you are talking about. So it's very important. First, you have to specify your subject. After that, you have to add further information about your subject. As long as the subject is not properly mentioned, there can be confusion in the mind of listeners, also in the mind of readers, if you are a writer, that whom or what you're talking about. And I also told you that when we have these two important parts, after that we will have to make it sure which part needs to be given more attention, either the part of subject or the part of predicate. Sometimes we think that subject, I mean the person, place, or thing, is not more important than the action. We think that the action that has taken place in the past, that is taking place in the present, or that will take place in the future is more important. So when we give preference to the action over the subject, in this case we have to follow different way of making sentence. And when we give proper attention or more attention towards the subject, in this case we have to follow the other way of word making a sentence. And these both ways are described by the topic voice, that when we want to give preference to the subject, we have to go for the active, and when we want to give preference to the action, we have to go for the passive. Why I am telling you these things, even though it's not related to our topic, I just want to tell you and clear your mind that these topics are not for unnecessary objectives. These topics have got very importance, an important role. It helps you in communication. Through the help of these topics, you can easily make understand your listeners can catch you very easily, and whatever you want to convey in their mind, it can easily be affected in their mind, and which can bring positive impact. As long as you don't follow the rules, you don't follow the ways, it will definitely create problems for your listeners and for your writers. Consequently, you will be called a bad speaker or a weak communicator. And there is no place for weak communicator in this era, because it's a very competitive stage, and you have to be strong in your communication. You must have the power of intellectuality. And how can you improve your intellectual power? You can improve it if you know the rules of communication. So what we are discussing, we're discussing grammar, and grammar helps us to understand what word to be used, what how sentence is to be made. These all things are included in grammar. So now, what is the role of speech in communication? So as I said before, that in communication we have to follow different tenses if we want to show different stages of time. We have to follow different voice forms if you want to show different parts of importance. Similarly, uh, a question, a stage can come in communication. In that stage, you don't have to say your words, you don't have to say your idea, you don't have to say your statement. In that stage, you have to repeat the words, you have to repeat the idea, or you have to repeat the statement of different people to different people. Like right now, I'm telling you my words, I'm telling you my statements, I'm telling you my my ideas. I'm sharing my ideas. Whatever I say, all these things belong to me. But if I want to quote, or if I want to convey the words of another person, like Mr. Ilyas said, Mr. Ilyas said, all the students must get registration before tomorrow. So all the students must get registration before tomorrow. So these are not my words. These are the words of Mr. Ilyas. But Mr. Ilyas is not here to tell you these words. So in this situation, I copied his all words, I copied his statement, and I presented them in front of you. So a situation can come in which you don't have to say according to your mentality, you don't have to say your idea. You have to repeat, or you have to convey the words of another person to someone else. So whenever we want to convey the words, we want to convey the message of one person to someone else. In this situation, we have to follow the rules of speech according to grammar. अगर मैं आपको बहुत आसान अल्फाजों में बताऊं तो मैं आप कह सकता हूं कि स्पीच ग्रामर में इसकी वो हैसियत है जिसके जरिए और जिसकी मदद से हम किसी दूसरे शख्स के अल्फाज या दूसरे शख्स का पैगाम किसी तीसरे शख्स को भेजें, उसको बयान करें। मिसाल के तौर पर मैं किसी शख्स से कुछ बात सुनता हूं और उसी बात को मैं रिपीट करता हूं और आपसे कहता हूं, तो जब मैं आपको उसके अल्फाज रिपीट करता हूं तो इससे मुराद ये है कि these are not my words, ये मेरे अल्फाज नहीं है। These words were said or told by someone else, मैं सिर्फ और सिर्फ उसका कन्वेयर हूं। I'm just conveying his words। तो जब भी आप किसी के वर्ड्स को, किसी के मैसेज को, किसी के ऑर्डर्स को रिपीट करेंगे और दूसरे शख्स तक पहुंचाएंगे तो you will have to follow the rules of speech। And when you start to work in an office as an officer, तो वहां पर फिर क्या होगा? You will have to be, you will have to function like a bridge between the top management and the lower management। You will convey the words of your director, your MD, to your subordinates, and you will have to convey the response or answer of your subordinates to your MD or director। So in that situation, you must be able to convey those words, those messages properly. And how can you convey them properly? If you follow its rules. And where are the rules? The rules are written right here. So speech, uh, it is a term that is used whenever we want to convey or carry the words or message of one person to another person। स्पीच इस्तेमाल होती है जब हम किसी एक शख्स के कहे हुए अल्फाज या पैगाम को किसी दूसरे शख्स तक पहुंचाएं अपनी अल्फाज में, नहीं अपनी मतलब अपनी आवाज में, अपनी तरफ से। अच्छा, जिस तरह के वॉइस के दो किस्में हैं, एक्टिव वॉइस और पैसिव वॉइस, सिमिलरली speech has also two types। One is called direct speech and one is called indirect speech, जिसे हम quoted speech भी कहते हैं और reported speech भी कहते हैं। You can call it we have got two types of speech, direct speech and indirect speech। We can also call them quoted speech and reported speech। Now, what is the difference between direct speech and indirect speech? We will study later on। So speech, it has two ways. Therefore, it is divided into two kinds. Whenever we want to use the term speech in communication, whatever the speaker says or repeats, he or she represents the words, idea, or message of another person. In simple words, we can say that whatever we listen from others and the same we forward to others, we use the term speech according to grammar। For example, here we have example, Salma said, I have done the job। So whose words are these? I have done the job। ये अल्फाज किसके हैं? ये अल्फाज है सलमा के। Salma said, I have done the job। और let's suppose ये अल्फाज मैं रिपीट कर रहा हूं। I am not Salma, but I am repeating the words of Salma। So Salma said, I have done the job। In above example, the above example represents the direct speech in which the speaker repeats the same idea or words of Salma by himself or herself, right? So here, Salma is the person who said these words, I have done the job, but Salma is not present to say these words. These words are said by someone else। Another sentence, Salma said that she had done the job। So note, the above example represents the indirect speech in which the speaker repeats the same idea of Salma by himself or herself. So in above both examples, whatever the information or statement was presented, they were merely belong to Salma, the person who actually said, but they were repeated by another person, which could be anyone. तो ये अगर आप पहले एग्जाम्पल की तरफ देखें या दूसरी एग्जाम्पल की तरफ देखें, तो ये दोनों अल्फाज जो थे, दोनों पैगामात जो थे, किसने कहे थे? सलमा ने कहे थे। लेकिन इसको दोहराने वाली सलमा नहीं है, ये कोई भी हो सकती है। ये मैं भी हो सकता हूँ, आप भी हो सकते हैं, अहमद भी हो सकता है, महमूद भी हो सकता है, जो भी हो सकता है। लेकिन इसका ताल्लुक तो सलमा के साथ है, लेकिन सलमा इसको आगे नहीं पहुंचा रही। तो इसके आपके पास दो तरीके हैं। एक तो डायरेक्ट स्पीच है, जो कि फर्स्ट वन है, सलमा सेड आई हैव डन द जॉब, और एक है इनडायरेक्ट, सलमा सेड दैट शी हैड डन द जॉब। नाउ इट डिपेंड्स अपॉन यू, ये आप पर डिपेंड करता है, हाउ कैन यू कन्वे इट, हाउ कैन यू ट्रांसफर इट, by following the direct way or by following the indirect way. Now let's go and see the differences, further differences. Kinds of speech. There are two kinds of speech. One is direct speech and one is indirect speech. So what is direct speech? Direct speech में और indirect speech में basically इसमें तो differences ज़्यादा हैं, but what are the basic differences? Let me tell you. Number one, whenever you listen something from one person and you want to convey that to someone else, जब आप किसी से कुछ सुने और उसी को आप किसी दूसरे शख्स तक पहुंचाना चाहते हैं, तो आपके पास हैं दो रास्ते, एक है डायरेक्ट स्पीच का और एक है इनडायरेक्ट स्पीच का। अगर आप डायरेक्ट स्पीच का रास्ता फॉलो करेंगे तो इसमें क्या होगा, जो अल्फाज आपने सुने होंगे आप उसी ही अल्फाजों को दोहराएंगे। Whatever you listen, you will repeat the same or exact words. I mean to say, you are not supposed to bring any kind of change. Neither you can change the subject pronoun, nor you can change the tense. Or furthermore, you cannot change the past tense like yesterday, tomorrow, next day. No. Whatever you listen, you have to repeat the same words. लेकिन indirect speech में क्या होता है, when we want to convey that message through indirect speech, so in indirect speech, we have to be very careful about the idea. The idea must not be disturbed. The idea must not be, what do you call it? It must not be alterated. There must not be any change in the idea. Yes, you can of course bring changes. You can bring three changes, three important changes. You can change the subject pronoun according to the rules. You can change the tense according to the rules. And you can change some words according to rules. So three changes are the most possible changes which you have to bring. So now it's your choice. You would like to convey it or transfer it or represent it by changing the words or by not changing the words. But एक चीज आपको ज़हन नशीन करनी होगी. You have to keep one thing in your mind, whether it is direct speech or indirect speech. There is no difference in meaning. Meaning में कोई भी difference नहीं होगा. So see, direct speech, it's a kind of speech that is used whenever we want to repeat the exact idea with the exact words of the speaker, or it is used to represent the exact idea without bringing any change or modification. He said, I'm going to school. So I'm going to school, these were the exact words which were said by him. She said, they are fine. Ali said to Salma, I am teaching today. So I am teaching today, they are fine, I am going to school. These were the exact words which were said by them, by him, by her, and by them. Okay, let's go further in details in direct speech. Direct speech always has two parts inside, which is called reporting speech, reporting parts, and reported speech or reported part. So direct speech has further two more parts. One is called reporting and one is called reported. So what is reporting? In reporting part, we always try to introduce the person whose words we repeat. In reporting part, we always introduce that person whose words we repeat. It can be he, she, Ahmed, Mahmoud. So reporting speech is responsible for the purpose, for the responsible of the introduction of the speaker. In this part, we introduce the speaker. Who said? He said. She says. Salman said. Salman says, etc. On the other hand, we have, yes, more, and reporting verbs are say or tell. Most common words are say or tell. You can use their forms like said or told. For example, he said, she said. It's written inside of quotation marks or inverted commas. So in direct speech, the reporting part is responsible for the speaker and reported part is responsible for the words of speaker. रिपोर्टिंग पार्ट में हम उस शख्स को जाहिर करते हैं जिसके अल्फाज हम रिपीट कर रहे हैं और रिपोर्टेड में उस अल्फाजों को जाहिर करते हैं जो हमने सुने हो. And the first letter inside quotation marks must always be capitalized and all signs of punctuation must be placed inside the quotation mark. For example, I am fine. I had gone to Lahore. These are the words of reported speech. And both reporting speech and reported speech are separated by commas. We can also call direct speech a quoted speech. Here, see, Ali said, I'm too tired. So it is divided. Ali said is the reporting part, and I'm too tired, it is the reported part. So what is included in the reporting part? Ali said. And what is included in the reported part? I'm too tired. And when they both come together, they create direct speech. Next, important point. We can use reporting speech, reporting part or reported part before the reported part or speech or after the reported speech or reported part. हम इनकी places को आगे पीछे भी कर सकते हैं. Like she said, I am fine. I am fine, she said. लेकिन यहाँ पे comma की जरा ख्याल करना होगा. When we bring reporting part first, comma comes out of the quotation. And when we bring reporting parts after, then comma comes inside the quotations. Acha, indirect speech, it's another kind of speech that is used whenever we want to convey the exact idea of the speaker with some important changes or modifications in words. In simple words, we can say that the purpose of using indirect speech is to let the listener understand the idea of the speaker without repeating the exact words which were said or told by the main speaker. Note, it does not have to separate two separate parts like direct speech has. It always carries only one part, which is called the reported part. It never takes any comma like direct speech, and it never comes with inverted commas or quotation marks. तो कोई कामा इसमें नहीं यूज होता, कोई रिपोर्टिंग पार्ट कोई रिपोर्टेड पार्ट अलग अलग नहीं होते, इसमें कोई कोटेशन मार्क्स नहीं होते. Simple is that. Like Ali said that he was too tired. So see, Ali said he was too tired. No comma, there is no comma, there is no quotation mark, there is no reporting part, and there is no reported part. And the whole is what? Indirect speech. Now see the difference, final difference, direct speech versus indirect speech. Direct speech always carries the exact words of the speaker. On the other hand, indirect speech carries the exact idea with different words. Number two, direct speech, it contains two parts, reporting and reported. Indirect speech, it always contains one part that is reported. Direct speech, it always takes comma. Indirect speech, it never takes any comma. Direct speech, it needs inverted commas. Indirect speech, it never needs any inverted commas. Direct speech, it never takes that, if, or whether, and it must take that, if, or whether. Rest, there is no difference in the meaning of either direct speech or indirect speech. It depends upon the speaker, which one of it he or she uses. So what changes do we bring whenever we want to change the direct speech into indirect speech? अब direct और indirect speech को समझने के बाद हमें ये समझना जरूरी है कि जब भी हम डायरेक्ट स्पीच को इनडायरेक्ट स्पीच में तब्दील करें तो कौन सी वो चेंजिंग्स है which changes do we have to bring? So we can bring three changes. Number one, we can change the tenses. Tenses को तब्दील करना पड़ता है according to rules. I will tell you later on. We change subject pronouns. Subject pronouns जो है हमारे पास I, you, we, they, he, she, it, इसको हम तब्दील करते हैं. Number three, we change some words. इसके अलावा कुछ words हैं, कुछ अल्फाज हैं जिनको हम change करते हैं. Now let's come to number one, tense changes. So which tense of direct speech changes into which tense of indirect speech? If direct speech is in simple present tense, as like we studied that we always use first form of the verb. If the direct speech is in simple present tense, in indirect, it becomes simple past. Number two, if direct speech is in present continuous tense, in indirect, it will become past continuous tense. Then present perfect tense becomes past perfect tense. Present perfect continuous tense changes to past perfect continuous tense. Then simple past tense changes to past perfect, and past continuous tense to past perfect continuous. Past perfect tense remains past perfect, and the perfect continuous tense remains past perfect continuous. तो ये प्रेजेंट तमाम के तमाम प्रेजेंट टेंसेस जो हैं वो पास्ट में चेंज हो जाते हैं, और सिंपल पास्ट पास्ट परफेक्ट में, पास्ट कंटिन्यूअस पास्ट परफेक्ट कंटिन्यूअस में, और पास्ट परफेक्ट डायरेक्ट वाला भी इनडायरेक्ट में पास्ट परफेक्ट रहेगा, और पास्ट परफेक्ट कंटिन्यूअस डायरेक्ट वाला भी इनडायरेक्ट में पास्ट परफेक्ट कंटिन्यूअस रहेगा. तो ये तो थे प्रेजेंट और पास्ट टेंस. और फ्यूचर टेंस में क्या होता है? इन ऑल फ्यूचर टेंसेस, in future indefinite tense, future continuous tense, future perfect tense and future perfect continuous tense में सिर्फ हम एक ही change करते हैं. If there is a word will, it becomes would, or if there is a word shall, it becomes should. Rest of the sentence remains same. बाकी tense के लिहाज से बाकी जुमला same ही रहेगा, सिर्फ will को would में या shall को should में. So these are tense changes. Then modal auxiliary verbs, if direct speech has can, indirect it will become could. May become might. Have to, has to become had to. Shall becomes should. Had to becomes had to. Ought to becomes remains ought to. Will changes to would. May, might remains might. Must changes to had to. Could remains could. Would remains would. Had better remains had better. Then these words. अच्छा, इसके अलावा ये words है. If there is this in direct speech, and indirect, it will become that. If there is now in direct speech, it will become 10. If so, very, just to 10. Hether to theta. Bring to take. Today to that day. Yesterday to the previous day. Tomorrow to the next day, the day after tomorrow to the day after the next day, the day before yesterday to the day before the previous day, these to, those, thus to, so, ago to before, here to there, come to go, hence to then, so therefore, tonight to that night. So these are words changes. Your words changes hain, your tense changes hain, and now let's move to pronoun changes. So dear students, we have got 7 pronouns in which we have I, we, you, they, he, she, and it. Let me repeat these subject pronouns. I, we, you, they, he, she, and it. And these 7 subject pronouns are divided into 3 categories Number one is first person. फर्स्ट पर्सन में हमारे पास कौन कौन से हैं? आई एंड वी. फिर इसके बाद है सेकंड पर्सन. तो सेकंड पर्सन में हमारे पास है यू. एंड इन थर्ड पर्सन वी हैव दे, ही, शी एंड इट. So what is the meaning of first person? First person means the person who is speaking. A speaker is always called the first person. जिस तरह मैं हूं, I am speaking now, so I am the first person. And listener is always the second person. So you are a listener, you are second person. When you start speaking, when you are first person, and then I am second person. And third person is neither speaker nor listener. थर्ड पर्सन ना ही स्पीकर होता है ना ही लिसनर होता है. उसका कम्युनिकेशन से कोई लेन देन नहीं होता. Like I am the speaker, I am first person, you are the listener, you are second person. Imran Khan is the third person. Nawaz Sharif is the third person. Maryam Nawaz is third person. Katrina Kaif is third person. They are not present in our communication. They have got no active part in our conversation. So in तीनों pronoun के different rules हैं. See, first person is I and we. I is singular and we is plural. You is second person. They, he, she, it. They are what? Third person. See, first person is I and we. Second person is you. And third person is he, she, it and they. अच्छा, usage of all person वही बता चुका हूँ. First person के third person के. Now, what is the rule of changing first person? What is the rule of changing second person? And what is the rule of changing third person? I have already written them. You can watch the screen. First person pronoun. We always change it according to the staff reporting part or reporting part of the reporting speech. जब भी first person आएगा हमारी reported speech में, अगर I आ गया या we आ गया, तो indirect speech में इसको subject के मुताबिक change करेंगे. कौन से सब्जेक्ट के मुताबिक? रिपोर्टिंग वाले सब्जेक्ट के मुताबिक चेंज करेंगे. अगर रिपोर्टिंग सब्जेक्ट ही होगा तो इसके साथ भी ही आएगा. अगर वहां पर शी होगा तो यहाँ पर भी शी आएगा. सेकंड पर्सन यू, इट इज चेंज अकॉर्डिंग टू द ऑब्जेक्ट ऑफ रिपोर्टिंग पार्ट और रिपोर्टिंग स्पीच. ये ऑब्जेक्ट के मुताबिक चेंज होता है. फर्स्ट पर्सन इज चेंज अकॉर्डिंग टू सब्जेक्ट. सेकंड पर्सन इज चेंज अकॉर्डिंग टू ऑब्जेक्ट. And third person, no change. We cannot change the subject pronoun of third person. If the subject pronoun is he, she, it, or they in direct speech, they remain same. They remain same in indirect speech as well. But I, you, and we, they are changed according to the rules. Let's example. See example for first person. अभी देखिए डायरेक्ट स्पीच हमारे पास है. Ali said, I am too tired. Ali said, I am too tired. So we want to change this into indirect speech. So what is the subject of reported part? I. And what is I? I is the first person. And according to rules, we always change first person according to the subject of reporting. So what is the subject of reporting? It is Ali. See, I is changed according to Ali because I is first person. So the subject of Ali could be he. So what will come instead of I? He will come. What will come instead of I? He will come. Similarly, example number 2, for object pronoun, Ali said to her, you are too tired. So see once again, what is subject here? Subject is you. And you is second person pronoun. Second person pronoun is changed according to object. It is not changed according to subject. So object is her. What is the subject of her? That is what?
she.
अगर यहाँ पे him होता then it would be he. अगर यहाँ पे them होता then subject would be they. If there were us, the subject would be we. So whatever is the object here, it would be converted into subject for the